girl. You know, for days now I've been watching you as you walk by. But I've been afraid to come out and tell you exactly just what's on my mind.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the Dubs Only podcast. We're going to get into some basketball action. Some breaking news that went down on Tuesday, which was Knicks firing their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, after 5 years. Now, I got a list right here, some accomplishments that he has done, so let's go ahead and go into them. So in his 5 years with the New York Knicks, he was 226 and 174. He led the Knicks to back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time since 1995. So if you just think those two things alone, just from the past, let's say 5 coaches that the Knicks have had, he's surpassed everyone pretty well. I want to say he's been the most successful coach since probably Pat Riley. Maybe Mike Woodson never went far, but he had the team behind. He had the team supporting behind him. So it's kind of like my feeling towards this is, why would you fire a head coach who's already a proven coach in the league? And we're going to go into the reasonings why behind his firing later, but I kind of just want to go into his resume just to begin with before we get into the initial reason why he was fired. So let's just talk about Tom Thibodeau. Great defensive mind coach, which we saw with the Knicks and his time with the Bulls. He's able to lead teams and lead superstars a la Derrick Rose, a la Jalen Brunson now. What else? He's won a championship. He has championship experience. Hasn't gone to the finals himself as a head coach, but he was part of that 2008 Boston team that beat the Lakers. So my thing with Tom Thibodeau is he's been in the league for 15 plus years, maybe 20 plus years. So maybe 30 plus years. I'm not entirely sure how long he's been in the league, but for sure it's over 10, 15 years. So you have an NBA veteran coach who's been there, done it, seen a lot of situational basketball, seen a lot of losing and winning basketball, a bunch of playoff experience, bunch of experience in general. We've seen the results with his team. So the reason why he's fired is kind of why would you want to do that right now? Is his first year with these guys, not the Knicks, but in the sense of the nucleus of the core with Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Miles Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart. He had Josh Hart and he had Jalen Brunson prior, but just to have those 5 together right now after one season, what he was able to do, it kind of baffles me as to why he was fired. So let's go into some of the reasonings of why he was fired, why I believe he was fired. So in his past, he's shown not to be stubborn and not to make any adjustments or stay and trust his own process. And in the NBA, you can't do that. It's only so many amount of opportunities where, hey, let's make a change right here. If not, then things are going to go downhill even more. And that's been kind of the repeating theme with Tom Thibodeau, not being able to make adjustments, not making adjustments, but not willing to make those adjustments, as we've seen during the series with the Indiana Pacers. One thing I want to talk about is just his short rotations, because that's been a main thing throughout his entire career as a coach, just having short rotations, not really trusting too much into his bench. We've seen that has had detrimental issues with his teams going far in the playoffs. Best example of that has to be Derrick Rose with the torn ACL when they beat the Philadelphia 76ers in the series, his 2011 year, or was it 2012, because 2011 he won the MVP. So his 2012 year, coming off his MVP, when Derrick Rose, everyone remembers the play. The Bulls were up by a bunch of points late in the fourth quarter. Derrick Rose decides to drive, hop steps. As soon as he lands, he tears his ACL, and from there, then the Bulls season were over. Their championship hopes, it was all done right there. And he didn't play the next season. He didn't come back for another year and a half. So his short rotations has always been something that has caught the eye of the NBA fan, of the NBA coaches, of the just NBA world in general, because you have 12 players on a team to use them. Now, what he's doing is going with a 7-man rotation, 6-man rotation at times, dealing with the starting 5, and then not going to his bench when he has weapons on his bench. Like, The one weapon that I think he should have used or he could have used much more that would have benefited him would have been Landry Shamet. We saw him come in a couple of times and he was able to make shots. But when you have a sniper, because Landry Shamet is, albeit he hasn't been playing a lot, but when he's on and when he gets his rhythm, when he gets his regular minutes, a consistent minutes, you can see that he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. He's able to make a catch and shoot. He's able to go off the dribble. He's able just to be that microwave, be able to get buckets in short amount of time. So I think that was one thing that for sure he could have done was use Landry Shamet, because once you have Landry Shamet shooting, it's going to force the defense to play up, force them to play more up on Shamet, especially if he's hitting. And all that's going to do is just open up bigs, open up wing players, because if you have him coming off the pick and roll, they're going to try and rush, try and blitz him. What can that do? You can actually kick it to the wing, get the dive on the roller, hit the roller right away. There's so many different things that you can do once you have a shooter like that. So short rotation, that's one thing. Another thing that I saw was overplaying his starters. Like I mentioned earlier with Derrick Rose when he tore his ACL. Had no business being in that game. Had no business being in that game whatsoever when it was already over. Just take your starters out, take your players out, let them rest. If you won the game already and the other team has shown that they're throwing the white flag out there, just end the game. There's no reason to keep your starters in there at all. I know maybe you want to keep them in rhythm. You don't want them to get cold. But for a safety aspect and to keep your players fresh and healthy, like just play. Just get the others in there. And this was something that Mikal Bridges said earlier in the season, where it's like, hey, can we get a rest? Like, we're kind of getting tired out here. And people kind of like looked at him like, well, why are you asking for rest? Like, come on, you're an NBA player. You want to play in these minutes. You want to play the whole time, get that experience, especially with this team who hasn't played a lot together. You want to get that mold and all that stuff, all that continuity and that camaraderie between the team. And when that happens, it's just you have the potential for injuries. Now, thankfully for the Knicks, no one got injured this year. No big injuries had happened or occurred from overplaying. But it kind of goes into the short rotation idea that I brought up before. It's just you want to have other players be able to take the load off of your starters, because you don't want the risk or potential for an injury. And when we look at the playoffs, yes, your rotations do get shorter, but once you already have a short leash on your bench as it is, you can't really afford for it to be on an even shorter or tighter leash, because it's not going to work like that. Like, you got to have your others be able to contribute, and those are really going to be the players or the moments that are going to put you over the top in the playoff series, because we know what your starters are going to be able to do, but what about your others? If your others are able to step up as well and play on par with your starters, or at least at a rate where they can be an impact, then it's just going to make your team that much better, that much more dangerous, and much more respectable for the defense that has to be in order for you to just get buckets. You know what I mean? I butchered that right there, but you get what I'm saying. And those are just some of the reasons that I see that why he got fired. And do I think it was the right call? If I were to say, is this the right call to fire Tom Thibodeau? I would say no. I think you can give him maybe one more year, just on the fact that how I mentioned earlier, this is his first time with this core, with this nucleus. I think maybe bringing another coach to adjust on the offense, so that we're not just doing Jalen Brunson ISO high pick and roll, everyone getting the corners, cut to the basket. I think maybe bring in an offensive coach, let them handle the offense, but defensively, like, they were sound. Maybe one thing was for Karl Anthony Towns was to get better in shape, get better at playing defense, maybe make more of an effort, because that was one thing that was missing. Yeah, we know what he can do on the offensive side, but we want to see what you can do on the defensive side. Because if Karl Anthony Towns is able to be like that pillar down low, kind of like, not in the sense of a Gobert, but be able to make players adjust in the paint when they try going for layups, floaters, or attack, make them second guess themselves, And that'll just make this Knicks team that much better and take them on a whole nother level. Because once you have that defensive threat, that two-way threat with Karl-Anthony Towns, it's gonna be a wrap. Because you already have OG, you have Mikal, you have Josh Hart in the perimeter locking that down. You have Mitchell Robinson, but he comes off the bench. He started a couple times during the series and the playoffs, but he's more of an off-the-bench player. Cat is more of your focus 5. So if Karl-Anthony Towns is able to just play defense, be that anchor like that, be able to just be a presence in the paint, it's just going to make this team that much more dangerous. So who are some potential hires that I can see that the Knicks hire? Now, we're going to go with some of the coaches that got fired this year during the season. That's going to be Mike Malone, Taylor Jenkins. Now, Mike Malone, proven winner, has won the championships, has had to win Nikola Jokic, has gone one of Denver's greatest coaches in their history. Probably their greatest coach, honestly. They brought the championship. He's been there for 8, 10 plus years. So I think Mike Malone might be a good fit just because he brings that nasty, that grit, that tenacity that New York fans love, that New York plays with, that grit, that grind. So I think that'd be a good pick right there. Taylor Jenkins, I think, is another good pick. We saw what he was able to do when he was turning the Memphis Grizzlies around with Ja Morant, with Jaren Jackson Jr., with Clark before he tore the Achilles, Bane. I think that this team can be somewhat of like that second seed Memphis Grizzlies team when they lost to the Lakers. Not saying in the playoffs, but just of that caliber, because this team does have the weapons. They have the experience now. They have it all. There's no reason why this team cannot compete for a championship. You have your 2 wings with Mikal and OG. You also have Josh Hart. You have Jalen Brunson. I think that if Taylor Jenkins or Mike Malone were able to get this team together and just do what they did in the past with their previous teams, they'll be able to do something big, or actually maybe possibly win a championship. Who knows? But one thing that they do need is a point guard, because Jalen Brunson, although he is listed as a point guard, he's a shooting guard. So I think just get him a point guard, someone who can set him up and not have him just be holding the ball the entire time. That'd be the ideal situation for the offseason. But for my number one possible hiring, who I want the New York Knicks to hire, it easily has to be the New York native himself. It's probably not going to happen, but who I would want to see play coach for the New York Knicks, Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson, to me, would be the perfect fit for this team. He's dealt with young teams before. Look what happened when he did with the Warriors. He was able to transform. He brought them up. He gave them that confidence. I think that if Mark Jackson, who's been for New York, I want to say he's also played for the Knicks. He knows the culture. He knows just what New York basketball is, because he is New York basketball. His knowledge of watching the game, commentating, being the coach, playing the game, he has all 3 experiences from first hand, second hand, and all that stuff. So I think Mark Jackson would be a great fit for here, just from the X's and O's, just from a relatability, be able to be relatable just to his players. I just think that Mark Jackson would be the ideal pick for this New York Knicks job. I'm probably wrong on it, but if he were to get the job, I think he puts them over the top. Well, that's going to be it for the Dubs Only podcast. We'll catch you guys next time. More to come, so stay tuned.
But I've been afraid to come out and tell you exactly just what's on my mind. Well, I think I'm going out of my head. Yes, I think I'm going out of